have to agree with the walking thesaurus on that one.
Do not ever call me a thesaurus.
It's just a metaphor, dude.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
What's up, guys? So this is actually my second time filming this because right as I started filming, I messed around with the plug to my microphone and I guess I knocked it out a little bit. So here we go again. This is going to be the second video in my series about my autism story. And this time I'm going to talk about the childhood symptoms that I had of autism and, you know, potential symptoms that you could look for either in yourself or in a child. So here we go. Number 1. Now, the most notable symptom that I showed of autism in childhood was stimming, which is a really funny word. I actually learned about this word just recently, and it explains so much about my behavior. And it's something I still do to this day. I rub a pencil through my fingers because it feels good.
I like rusty spoon. I like to touch them.
Now, stimming stands for self-stimulating behavior, which I actually learned from a channel I like watching called the Aspie World. So I'm giving a shout out to a channel that's 10 times bigger than me. So maybe something good will come of that. Now, the most notable behavior whenever I was a child is whenever I was excited or nervous, I would, or got startled, I would rub my fingers together really fast, like I was just showing, except I didn't use a pencil. I started using a pencil when I was in high school, and I still do to this day. I also rock back and forth whenever I'm thinking about a funny conversation I've had. Or thinking of, or having a fun conversation because it just feels good. Stimming usually is, you know, self-calming behaviors, but as Temple Grandin put it, you know, it also just feels good. And that's why, you know, autistic people such as myself will do it. Another repetitive behavior that I did as a child that annoyed everybody is I would constantly clear my throat, which I still do today, to this day, which I'm sure still annoys people, but they never say anything. And I'll force myself to cough, which my parents would always complain about, but I literally felt like I needed to cough, so it wasn't to annoy people. I would also go through stretches of time where I feel the need to shake my head or blink my eyes really hard, which I don't really do as much anymore. It would mainly be during stressful times, so I'm sure that's related in some way. I also have a tendency to get fixated on my fingers, which causes me to bite my nails, and since I've been doing it my entire life, it's really hard for me to break the behavior. So it's something I've just learned to accept. Now, the most odd behavior that I displayed whenever I was a child it's related to the stimming of rubbing the pencil in my hand. I would stand in my window for hours rubbing the blinder string against my fingers because doing that would make my imagination just run wild. It was potentially tactile to visual synesthesia, I'm not entirely sure, but I did it enough that all the kids in the neighborhood knew about it and would make jokes about it and would make jokes to my sister about it. I didn't see any reason to stop, so I just kept doing it. And I was attached enough to this behavior that whenever we moved when I was 9 years old, I actually started carrying around a string with me, which later turned into a pencil or pen like it is today. And it's just something that's always stuck with me. My counselor thinks I might also do it because of anxiety. I'm not sure if the anxiety is caused because I don't have the pencil or, you know, chicken or egg.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I ate the chicken and then I ate his leg.
Who knows? And it also has to be the right texture. It has to be kind of rough, or else I can't do it. It doesn't work for me. Now, number 2.
Nice bike.
Oh, if that's not the understatement of the century.
It's cool. Too cool for you.
Now, I had a lot of trouble reading social cues as a child and relating to other kids. I remember whenever we were at the bus stop, you know, other kids would be playing team sports like football and tag and all that stuff. And I would sit by the light pole at the bus stop and play with the water and just play with little rocks and everything because that was more fun to me. Like, playing games just didn't do anything for me. I remember one time we were going to play this game called Manhunt. They put me at a base and I just went home. My parents couldn't understand like why I wouldn't go outside and everything. It's because there just wasn't much for me to do out there. And this really got me into trouble one time because I let two kids that I'd never met before, I forget how I met them, but I let them borrow Jet Moto 2.
Hey, lady! Come on, hit the gas!
Which in reality I was getting sick of that game anyway, but they were gonna lend me another game, and I have this like thing for like series of games, so they might have actually been lending me Jet Moto 1, but they told me they were gonna bring it back, but instead they just went home, and they probably still have the game to this day. Little plebeians. And I guess a lot of kids fall for things like that, but I was particularly susceptible to that. And then when I was in high school, I got in trouble a few times, well not really trouble, but had awkward situations because I creeped out a few girls because I would try to become friends with them. You know, I didn't really know what I was doing.
You want Chug?
Will you go out with me? Will you, please?
No, Chug.
But I would try to talk to them and everything, and I would like plan out these conversations, and it would make them really uncomfortable and creep them out. And I didn't realize it. I didn't have that natural intuitive sense of when people were uncomfortable or creeped out, because it's hard to make me uncomfortable to creep me out. So I don't realize when I'm doing it to other people. Now, number 3, when I was a kid, I had very specific interests. I still have specific interests, but I've learned to broaden them out a little bit. I remember I would talk my teacher's ears off about Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's chilling down time, yeah.
Instead of talking to other kids about it, because I didn't like the other kids, they were annoying. And I didn't realize that my teachers had no interest in Sonic the Hedgehog. I just figured because they were listening, they liked it. And I would also like Goosebumps. I love the Goosebumps series. I would write the list of all the books in the series that was at the front page of each book over and over again, because I just love lists. I love sequences. And I still, there's actually this website called digitaldreamdoor.com that I've been using since I was in high school, and it just got lists of greatest music. I used to get stuck on those. But one time I would get in trouble a few times in elementary school because I would read Goosebumps instead of paying attention in math class.
Why do you shamelessly waste my time like this? I don't know.
Because I just like Goosebumps more than math. Shocking. Then when I was in 5th grade, I got really into religions.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 10 commandments.
Well, I read the entire Bible, but I would also read the Bible instead of doing my homework. Then when I was in 6th grade, it became, professional wrestling.
And even if The Rock has got to beat Kurt Angle, which means I'm gonna drink a big glass of milk.
I would watch wrestling and read magazines about wrestling and play the wrestling games instead of doing my homework. I wasn't a big fan of schoolwork. Then I was put into this special program for kids that had high test scores but low classroom performance. It was called Model School Achievement Program. It was basically a dropout prevention program for kids that were smart but didn't like doing schoolwork, because what kid could possibly not like schoolwork? But the thing is, a lot of the kids thought it was a slow learner program, which it wasn't, so that kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder throughout the rest of my education. But thankfully, when I was in high school, I learned how to have my specific interests but still do my homework, and I graduated.
Stand firm for what you believe in, until and unless logic and experience prove you wrong.
Now, sensory processing issues. I'm mixing this together with synesthesia because for me they kind of go together. I guess I could have made a 5th part about this, but I'll just keep it together because I'm already rolling with it and I've already recorded once. I don't want to record again. So, people thought I was really shy when I was in school, which was not true. Like I said in the previous video, I was very disinhibited, but I would sit down. Playing basically in my mind. I would play back music that I liked. I remember I liked the theme song to Jurassic Park, the theme song to Back to the Future, and Will You Be There by Michael Jackson because I liked Free Willy. But it's something I didn't realize till a few years ago is visualizing music actually isn't natural. I actually have audio to visuals synesthesia, but that's why I would just sit there not talking. It was because I had a lot of stuff going on in my head. But another thing is like, kids tend to yammer and I can't deal with all that. It would kind of overstimulate me, and what I would learn after having my first major panic attack on my birthday, 2016, I would experience sensory overload, and like if a kid had bad breath, I just couldn't take it, and I would actually Looking back, it's kind of funny, but I told my mom I get mad when people talk to me because I didn't like people's voices. They just bothered me. They were kind of grating to me. And I was also a very picky eater. Like, I remember I couldn't eat mac and cheese because the flavor was too overbearing for me. And I couldn't eat anything crunchy because I just couldn't deal with it. And like, even now I have this weird thing where I can't eat pizza that's been reheated up. I just can't do it. I don't even know why. And even now I eat specific foods. It's not that I can eat pretty much anything, but it's mainly because I like routine. Like, I'll go to the same restaurant and I'll just order the same thing over like every single time, just because the whole ordering process, it can be kind of stressful for me sometimes. It's hard for me to socialize in a situation like that, so I try to make it go as fast as possible. But yeah, so hopefully the audio turned out okay this time, and I won't be, you know, well, if not, you won't know because I'll be telling you. This is my third time recording this video. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say with this video. I'm going to continue with this series. If you like it, please subscribe. Even if you don't like it, please subscribe anyway. And give my videos a like. Also, if you have a request for a video, you can ask a question and I'll put your comment in the video. And if I feel if it's not something I can answer in a comment, I'll make a video out of it. So that's pretty much it. So as always, if you like my video, subscribe. If you like my music, buy it. And if you hate me, tell everybody. Out.